all know this moment.
Bugha.
Bugha.
Is it Bugha or Bugha?
Bugha.
Bugha.
But what all of us and Bugha failed to see during this celebration was the months to years of struggle and conflict that this victory would bring Kyle Giersdorf.
I'm out.
After winning the World Cup, Bugha was on top of the world. But along with his new fame came scrutiny, pressure, and a growing target on his back. Bugha didn't know it at the time, but he was about to lose friendships, teammates, gain haters, and suffer the consequences of fame and success. Most people forget that before the World Cup, Bugha was just a very small streamer, and immediately after his win, the fame began pouring in. In a matter of days, Bugha went from streaming to a few dozen viewers on Twitch to getting interviewed by Jimmy Fallon on The Tonight Show. While all this fame seems exciting, it also brought an entire new world of problems. Once Bugha came back from his World Cup press tour, his stream was now far bigger than it ever was before. In just 2 weeks, Bugha went from 48,000 to 200,000 followers on his Twitch, and the number of people watching his streams was now in the tens of thousands. With all these new fans, Bugha began to suffer from one of the biggest plagues that large creators face: stream snipers. This clip shows just how bad the problem was for Bugha at the time.
Yo, zoom. Yo. Yo. Later. Yo, later.
Put yourself in Bugha's shoes. You've just won the World Cup, and overnight you become one of the biggest streamers in the entire world. Even with the frustrations of stream snipers, if you were Bugha, do you really think that you would stop streaming with all that revenue coming in? The obvious answer is no. But what Bugha failed to realize at the time is how his streaming career was going to impact his relationship with his teammates. In the first tournament of Season 10, Bugha and his org mates Sen Aspect and Sen Animal demolished the competition.
You have it, turbo build. I got a kill. Yeah.
Okay.
2v1.
He knocked me. Let's go.
Good job.
Despite their performance, Aspect and Animal were concerned about Bugha leaking strategies and getting stream sniped, and because Bugha refused to stop streaming, the trio had to split. Was it really worth it for Bugha to keep streaming even if it meant losing his teammates? According to other pro players, the answer was no. This quote by Young Calc shows his opinion on the situation. So it's clear that the community didn't think Bugha streaming was necessarily the best thing for his career, but before we look at how this move affected Bugha's performance in Season X, let's review all of the teammate troubles that Bugha has had ever since this moment. Directly after splitting with Aspect and Animal, Bugha was the victim of one of the most ingenious manipulations of teams in Fortnite history. Bugha began playing with Bizzle and Dubs, scrimming with them for weeks before splitting just days before FNCS.
He's 1 HP.
2v1.
He's 1 HP in zone. I'm dropping down. Yeah. I'm getting angles.
1 HP.
Here's what happened in Bugha's own words.
Oh, they want to know what happened to Dubs? Yep. So pretty much, guys, the entire plan for Dubs was, so long story short, he worked with Zate and Sap in this entire snaking program while Mega was away on vacation, right? So he wanted to screw up my trio, Stretch's trio, all the trios with Zate, because Zate's giving him some money for this. Of course, he's not doing it for free. So
I don't know. Here's what I want to know. I don't know how the fuck Zay has just 10 grand to give away like that.
I know. Zay literally gave him 10K.
Now that story is absolutely crazy, but you probably recognize the voice that Bugha's talking to. After Bugha was dropped by Dubs, he began playing with Stretch. And only minutes after discussing how Zate and Dubs toyed with him, Bugha would say this about his new teammate.
Don't trust a single person you ever talk to, guys.
Yeah.
Not even your
Single
parents. None. Like, I don't even trust Stretch right now. Like, he could
Yeah.
snake me for Zate and Sap. Who knows? Like, maybe he's in on the plan.
We'll see.
Like, maybe their goal was to take me down. Like, I don't know.
Maybe they just thought you were too good at solos, not at trios or duos, because you do suck at that, and they just thought they needed to show you even more.
Yeah.
While he was only joking at the time, Bugha was unknowingly predicting his own future. After playing with Stretch in the trios, squads, and duo FNCS finals, Stretch released this tweet announcing his split with Bugha. During this split, not only did Bugha lose one of his teammates, but he lost one of his best friends in the community that he had spent months playing with every single day. But before we get into that and how that relationship became so much worse over time, let's address the other part of Stretch's tweet. Why did Stretch think that he couldn't become the best with Bugha? Well, let's look back at their performances in the FNCS. While their trio was dominant during the qualifying weeks for FNCS, they came up short during the finals, placing 26th out of 32 teams. In squads, it was a very similar story. After decent performances during the weeks, in squads the duo of Stretch and Bugha would place even worse than in trios, finishing in 21st out of only 25 teams. But even after these two very disappointing finishes, the two decided to duo, and finally they achieved a solid FNCS placement, finishing in 5th place. While most players would consider 5th place in the FNCS finals a great placement, Stretch didn't feel the same way. And after a few struggles in duo cash cups, Stretch made the call to split up with Bugha. While the two were no longer playing together, it was clear that playing with Stretch had changed Bugha. His often negative mentality seemed to have rubbed off, and now Bugha carried that same negative mentality and combined it with his frustrations about poor placements and stream snipers, and it seriously hurt his mentality. And even worse, it just made him perform more poorly. It was like he was trapped in a cycle that he just couldn't escape, and it all culminated in his performance during the FNCS Invitational. It was clear from the very start of this tournament that Bugha was not enjoying himself, and he was complaining about controller players, calling the game trash, and ultimately he performed very poorly as a result.
I fucking hate controllers.
Imagine he's dead if I'm on controller.
Bro!
Man, like, oh my god. Guys. Like, someone please actually help me, bro.
This kind of complaining became so frequent from Bugha that his stream as well as the community picked up on it and even began to mock him for complaining so much.
Oh yeah. That little booger. That little booger. I sure as fucking hope not. Controller please. I want $3 million. Controller please.
At this point, Bugha is at an all-time low. His performances are struggling, he's lost his duo, and it seems like the whole community has turned their backs on him. This is also when we begin to see a change in Bugha. He begins treating playing professionally as a job, rather than a way to find friends, and he begins streaming less and practicing more, and the results are apparent. In Season 3, he performs very well in Cash Cups, and even places 3rd in the solo FNCS. While his new outlook on Fortnite results in better performances, it also leads to even more turmoil with teammates. Bugha begins to only care about his performances, and that means he's ready to drop any one of his teammates at any time if he feels he can find other players that will help him place better. This is the time where Bugha solidifies himself as a snake in the community, and to save time, we're going to go through all of these teammate changes in rapid succession. First, Bugha splits with Stretch, then he plays one tournament with OwlFN, then he begins duoing with Nosh after just 2 more tournaments, then drops him 3 weeks later for Avery. When Trios begins in Season 3, Bugha trios with Avery and Jamper, then drops Jamper for Chap, then drops Avery for Jamper, then drops Chap for Avery, then after placing 3rd in FNCS with Jamper and Avery, a month later, Bugha would drop both of them to play with Bizzle and Clicks, and for good measure, Bugha dropped Avery for Jamper in duo duos at the same time before dropping Jamper for Bizzle. Now, all of these changes occurred over the course of just 1.5 seasons. So while Bugha faced tons of backlash for this strategy and for getting rid of teammates left and right, it was still hard to fault him for it, as he was performing very well in every kind of event. Over this time, Bugha racked up lots of Cash Cup placements, performed great in solo DreamHack, had 2 third places in FNCS, and in Season 5 with Clicks and Bizzle, he came away with a 5th place in the FNCS. Bugha's placements were fantastic, so you would expect that any narrative of him being washed would have ended by now. He'd finally be able to put all of that hate behind him and just move on. But sadly, it wouldn't be that easy. After a rough Season 6 with Clicks and Bizzle, where the trio would place second to last in their heat after being dominated off spawn by the up-and-coming trio of Gabe, Tahi, and Sprite, Bugha was back to square one. Once again, he had to split with his trio, and the community was doubting his ability, and he would be stuck having to find a new team. At this point in the video, you should be able to guess who Bugha picks up the trio with. And you should also be able to guess what happens
Looks
next.
like this is NA East The Snakening Part 3, which is basically the story, and I'm guessing the final chapter, I hope, on how almost every single major team in NA East in the last 3 days has gone through some kind of change.
After only a week or two of playing together, Bugha decides to leave Avery again to play with reigning FNCS champions Day and Marrow. But after Avery threatened to not dissolve his trio with Stretch and Saf, who had already qualified to play in the next grand finals, Stretch shared some choice words about Bugha. Avery received a lot of criticism for holding his old team hostage. And to just get rid of all of the snakening drama, Bugha decided to pick Avery back up after all and ended up playing with him in Season 7's FNCS. It really seemed like Bugha was learning a lot from his mistakes, so after a mediocre performance in the FNCS, Bugha was yet again trioing with a new team. But this time it felt different. His new teammate Mira was a 2-time FNCS winner, and Muzz, his other teammate, was also a 2-time FNCS winner on OCE, who was more motivated than ever to perform on a new region. This was it. It's the last FNCS of Chapter 2, and this FNCS would be Bugha's way to put all of the past drama behind him. Everything that happened to him since the World Cup, all the doubt and hate that he faced, everybody who called him washed, everyone who called him a snake. This was his last chance to put all of that to rest, and he would do just that.
Pistol, I believe. Shots coming out right now, trying to connect, and no, Miro goes down, and Bugha is literally 1 HP, hits for 60, and they fall.
I think we won.
No way, no way, no way, no way, no way, no way. Wait, I'm checking. Chill. Shut up.
Bro, Jamper got 30 points. Osp, Brady died early. They didn't beat us, Osp. Bro, if Jamper got 30 points,
Oh my god, we won!
No way!
Let's go!
I swear to God, hold on.
I swear to God we won. No, I swear to God. Let's fucking go, boys!
Show me the leaderboard.
Let's go! Oh my fucking god!
Wait, did we
yeah,
actually?
we actually won, yes, by 7 points, bro. Let's
God.
fucking go!
Good job, bro.
That's right. The World Cup winner was now an FNCS champion. Nobody can call him washed. He's being more positive than ever. We just saw Bugha struggle with performance, hate, and scrutiny from the community for 2 years. How is the community ever going to get over the snake innings that he started? Could he prove that he was still one of the greatest of all time? Well, I guess there was really only one way to do that.
James, bro, there's no fucking way we just did that. Hold on.
That's how it is.
Dude,
Nah,
man, there's no fucking way. Come on. Please, Lord. Oh my God. I would do anything for this, bro. I'll do anything if we just won.
Bro.
Just wait. Jamper ended 472. Acorn ended. Wait. We did, bro.
Let's go, baby.